Smooth.
That was pretty fun. Yeah, smooth intro. Yeah. I think Scotty put in the chat that we were having a boomer tech moment, which was pretty accurate.
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
What's going on, man?
Not much. Welcome everyone to the Stream of Consciousness, low tech style. And we're off to a flying start with our Brian tonight. So
yep, he did that on purpose. He leaves traps in the setup so that when he's not here, that we don't know how to do it. In fact, it's even lagging on my end. Like it's still not perfect. But
no, that's not good.
Yeah, that's all right. I just can't look at my own head. That's the only problem, which is something I try to avoid looking at anyway. Yeah, Pussy Terror says we ain't getting our 20,000 views. The tech was boomer nuked. We're definitely not getting that tonight because I've deliberately not turned the promotion on the post. So I want to see like how much we really get. Like, what's the organic engagement? Because I have a feeling it's about 400 of our dedicated sock puppets actually tune in. So tonight we're going to find out. We're going to find out who actually pays attention to this stuff. But it's a bumper episode because a lot's happened. We've got deportations. That's the big one that's agitating everyone this week. And in the last, I don't even want to say 24 hours. It's in the last 24 minutes. We've got more spills. We've got another libspill. We've got the New South Wales libspill. So we're going to get to that. Where should we start? Do you want to start with the deportations?
Yeah, let's start with that. Why not? I gotta say that. So just I guess this one is probably not necessary for bringing people up to speed, but the government is deporting someone for the crime of going to a peaceful protest. A legal
protest. Yeah.
So one of the NSN protesters is being deported, or they're trying to. I actually expect he'll be able to appeal, and probably stay.
Yeah.
But we'll see. It's probably going to turn into a big court case, and the NSN could get more publicity out of it.
Yeah, it's almost like the government wants that. Maybe that's what that's what their goal is, or something.
Maybe it benefits them to have the NSN in the news constantly.
It's crazy that they all got out on it too. Like when you've got, I actually don't mind Penny Wong. I know everyone's got their opinions on her, but like she's a safe pair of hands for something that you don't want complete freaks getting anywhere near, which is foreign affairs, because we've already had the Bob Carr foreign affairs experiment and the Kevin Rudd foreign affairs experiment. I don't mind Penny, but the fact that she was out there today with a primed question on it, repeating these talking points, what I basically like the Chris Minns talking point about, well, we have freedom of speech, but only so much. Australians can't be trusted with too much freedom of speech. The fact that she was out there on it today was concerning, and that's why I tweeted that thing about, if this is what acceleration looks like, strap in. It's just going to keep getting worse from here. So, yeah, I don't know where they even go with it from here, right? Like,
this builds on
this look like.
This builds on the NSN theme. Like, this one protest has generated them so much publicity, and it's just sent the message that the government isn't really interested in kind of liberal democratic pluralism. When it doesn't suit them.
Yeah. Well, that's exactly right. And that's kind of how it feels. Is the correct thing to do in this case is if you're a mainstream politician, is just fucking ignore it, right? Like, just don't engage with it. Don't get too agitated about it. Just say it doesn't matter, that it's a small protest. Like, move on. That's what they do with every other protest.
Yeah, I was going to say they know how to do it. That's what they do with the Liberal Democrats.
Yeah. They've been doing it for decades, right? Where they did that protest out the front of Parliament House, I know that you don't need a permit for a group to protest there on the sidewalk because like when I worked in that building, people were doing it every day. There was a guy, that I actually talked to quite a bit. He used to stand out the front with a giant sign saying that everyone who worked in Macquarie Street was a pedophile. Right, he used to stand there, and guys in the chat who I know work at Parliament House will remember this. Like, this guy used to stand there with this huge banner every single day, and he printed out flyers with his kind of schizo QAnon conspiracy theories on them, and no one cared. And every now and then, some MP would get a bee in their bonnet about it and say, "Oh, we've got to move this guy on," and like the clerk of the Parliament would say, "No, we can't move him on. Like, it's his right to be there." Like, it was just generally accepted. I mean, at one point, Martin Place was occupied by homeless people, right, where they all just moved in there with sleeping bags, and no one moved in because, I mean, most of us thought it was funny that they were camping outside the Reserve Bank. I mean, that's exactly where they should be, but that's their right to do that, right? You have a right in Australia, whether you're left, right, middle, or freakish, to stand outside your parliament and hold a sign. And it doesn't matter what it says on the sign. That's what our constitution says.
Yeah, I agree. As long as you're not obstructing anyone. I don't think you've got a right to make a nuisance of yourself indefinitely, although that is the standard that's been applied in other cases.
And
that's
certainly been
should be applied consistently.
I mean, like, when you do it, I mean, the Levantine Troubles guys did it 24 times in a row, and they're still letting them do it. And yeah, White Australia can't do it once. And I've been saying this for ages, controversially in some quarters, that their stuff that they do on, to put it bluntly, the Jewish lobby is the smartest political work they do, because it's not offensive. Like, it's very difficult to land in hot water when all you're saying is, yeah, the Jewish lobby has too much power. The guys in that building know that the Jewish lobby has too much power. So we're saying that Mark Latham can put out a tweet where he says, criticizes Liebler et al. Over the post-caravan bomb threat, not nonsense, and yet, like, how many guys was it? Like 30 guys just can't stand there quietly.
56 guys.
56 guys. Yeah. And they can't do that. So yeah, the fact that it's escalating so much, I mean, it says one or two things, right? It says, and like, I honestly don't know which one is correct. Either, the competency crisis has reached its zenith and these guys just don't know what the hell they're doing and don't care how much trouble they cause for themselves. Option one. Option two is they're doing this deliberately, and it's kind of a victory dance for the progressive left because they know they're untouchable, at least for one political term. They know it'll be electoral chaos on the right, but they know that they're still going to be in government no matter what happens in the next 3 years. So they think they can get away with it.
I think that's part of it. I think my angle on it is that, is this possibly Labor kind of saying, well, this is our only way to actually please the Jews because we're completely wedged on the Israel issue. So if we play up the thing is, like,
well, I don't know. I mean, so you talk to the guys privately, not just, I mean, Latham's one of the best people to read his stuff on this because, like, Latham was there, he has some experience in it. But even when you talk to the establishment guys privately, they know full well there's no pleasing them. Like, you won't give them something and then they'll disappear. And, like, that might have worked in the past in some isolated cases, but not when you've got this, like, not when there's still a war in Gaza, right? And not when that's not, I mean, now I think there's a UN resolution today, they're going to send troops in, right? I mean, this stuff's going to be going on for years, right? So there's going to be that impetus for a very long time for them to throw their weight around. And they also know that they're one of the only effective lobby groups in Canberra. And what tends to happen when you have one of the lobby groups kind of crest the horizon and become the most effective lobby group is it doesn't just become about them and their issues anymore, because everyone else is then going to them to get what they want. So what you're going to see, I predict, some of the guys who've lost out in the last couple of years, so like the business lobby, like BCA, you're going to see Brand Black clawing at the Jewish lobby's coattails, thinking, well, if they're getting what they want, I want to get what I want. I'm just going to go with them. I'm going to support them. So you get this kind of herd mentality in the lobbyist swamp.
So what's Brand Black?
Brand Black's the head. He's the head of the Business Council of Australia, right? He was actually on the news a fair bit today, right? So you have, when one lobby group does well, which the Jewish lobby is unquestionably doing really well at the moment, all the other lobby groups will follow them. So, you're going to see, like the sporting lobby, like the gambling lobby, everyone, all the losers at the moment, they're all going to be jumping on this bandwagon too. I mean, when the footy kicks off next year, I mean, when the footy kicks off next year, I wouldn't be surprised if we get like the Anne Frank Memorial AFL round or something. Like that's that's what I'd do if I was a lobbyist for the AFL right now and I was watching what was going on.
Pump up the crowd.
No, it will pump up the crowd. Well, it doesn't need to pump up the crowd. It just needs to pump up the guys in the corporate boxes. So, I think that's, it's a mistake if you're in Parliament to sit there and go, okay, we'll just deport one Nazi and we'll give him some anti-free speech laws and then the problem will go away. Because that's not how lobbying works, right? Because you're going to go back to the client and you're going to go, hey, we got free speech laws and we got a Nazi deported. What else do you want? Give me more monthly retainers. So, yeah, it's going to get worse. It's going to get way worse. And it'll just prove those 56 guys right who are holding up a sign saying to get rid of that, which you should. Just like you should get rid of any lobby who has way too much power in this country. I mean, it's not just the Jewish lobby. It's the renewable speculation grift. It's the NDIS and disability sector lobby. It's the Indigenous grift. It's the academics who support infinity funding for the ABC. Like, it's the academic grift. I mean, that you can count multiple lobby groups that are successful in this country. And they should all be abolished. It's just going to get worse from here, I think. And everyone's just got to strap in.
I guess, maybe the NSN has like a broader political donations and lobbying reform package. They just couldn't fit it on the banner. So
yeah, maybe they do. I mean, that's going to be the big challenge for these guys, right? Like, at what point do we start getting the policy papers? That's what I want to see. Like, what do their policy papers look like, right? Pussy Terrorist just says, except the sock lobby. Yeah, we want you guys to be writing to MPs about us. When we win and revoke Tony Burke's citizenship, where are we going to send him? I mean, Tony Burke is probably one of the highest T guys in Labor right now. I mean, I know we're all like kind of eyebrow raising out, going, oh, this is a dangerous precedent or whatever, like when we've got our serious hats on. But come on, like, kicking your ideological enemies out of the country is based. Like, I'm not going to be one of these guys who goes on Twitter like crying, saying, we shouldn't deport each other. Yeah, you should. You should deport each other. If we ever got control, we would deport these people. Like, isn't that the whole point, right? That's what we do. And
sovereignty who makes the exception.
Yeah, right. And
it's very NSN. It's very on theme.
Anyone else in Labor right now, you look at the other chuckle fucks who are inside Labor's caucus, like, none of them have got the balls to do this. Tony Burke does. This is why Tony Burke, for the first decade he was in Parliament, the guy couldn't stay married to one woman because he's just got so much testosterone that he just had to keep cheating on his wife. And now it's coming out in his old age. But
deport them from the house.
Yeah, because he knew one day he was going to be able to deport them. But yeah, it's just now coming out as like deporting Labor's ideological enemies. Look, good for him, man. I'd do the same thing. Like, if you had the power, if you were sitting there and you were going, my opposition sucks, there is zero chance of me leaving government except for some black swan event involving a new party that I can't possibly predict, at which point we're all going to get great jobs at Davos or whatever anyway. Why not? Why not just deport your ideological enemies? Like, I respect it. You should all be worried, but it's still respectable that he did it. Yeah.
Thinking about it strategically, like the kind of the damage it will do to the NSN in terms of depriving them of one mid-level organizer versus the publicity that it's going to give them, especially if it turns into a court case. I mean, obviously,
one guy that no one had heard of as well.
Exactly.
Like, it's not like this is. It's not like it's one of their like main guys, right? Like,
so obviously, someone in Labor is going. We actually want this. You know, we whatever aspect of it is, they're going. We want the media. They're not doing it to hurt the Nazis, right? Because it doesn't hurt the Nazis. So it doesn't.
I mean, Oz Schizoid is probably closer to these guys than any of us. Is saying, yeah, in a weird way, this is a win for the NSN. It's 100% a win for the NSN. I mean, in the last 12 months, you can't even show me a loss for the NSN, right? I mean, I think there's some optical issues around fighting people on a hill on March for Australia Day, but you know, I mean, it's still like not maybe a strategic Pyrrhic victory, but still okay. They haven't lost in ages. Like, they can't make these guys lose. And this goes back to how the United States looked in the lead up to Trump Part 1, is people have figured out that radical transgressive ideologies are the secret to beating liberal establishments. This is how you beat them, because it doesn't matter what they do. You always win. So, yeah, I think they're going to... They're really worried about them.
It's very Saul Alinsky. Their reaction is the real action. You know?
Yeah.
Like, and I mean, the NSN's been very effective at provoking a response. They basically had the biggest left-wing party in the country come out and say it doesn't actually believe in liberal democracy.
Yeah. And well, that they don't even care about protecting it. And they're just going to deport people, and they're openly talking about locking them up, and they want to break the law. I mean, what these guys are talking about with preventing the White Australia Party from being registered is breaking the law, right? I mean, can you imagine if there's a single piece of correspondence between anyone in Albanese / the Labor caucus's sphere and the Australian Electoral Commission about the White Australia Party, right? I mean, and it'll all come out because you talk to AEC guys, and you like particularly senior AEC guys, and not just the AEC, but even their state counterparts, right? No one in Australia takes their jobs more seriously than those guys. And they're intensely, like, ideologically apolitical. Like, did you see the statement that the AEC spokeswoman put out about White Australia? No. Right? Like, dude, she almost wants it to happen. Like, you read the statement, you can hear it. She's like, oh, well, we can't. Well, obviously, they would be allowed to register. Like, they're not hedging on this at all. The Australian Electoral Commission is saying this has to be allowed to go ahead. I mean, every serious political academic in the country is saying that it has to be allowed to go ahead, and citing the myriad examples from Australia's past that prove it has to be allowed to go ahead. The only people who are saying it shouldn't go ahead are the swamp of, you know, academic far-right experts, which I've probably wasted a lot of, you know, energy writing about on Substack in the last 2 months, and our own politicians, right? They're the only ones saying this. So, yeah, it's going to be very, very... Yeah, Pussy Terrorist just pointed out there already was a registered NatSoc party in the 60s. Pussy Terrorist, I love saying the name. I'm going to blow your mind. There were two. There were two National Socialist parties. And they didn't equivocate. They didn't call it the White Australia Party. They were called the National Socialist Party of Australia and the National Socialist Democratic Party of Australia. There were two. They split. One was more moderate than the other. They ran in a total of 4 elections.
One was more democratic.
Yeah. They actually ran in the seat of Werriwa against Gough Whitlam in 1977. And Thank God. I can't remember the guy's name. Ross May, aka the Skull, was the guy that ran. Thank God he got less votes than I did in the Tasmanian election. Thank God, because I would never live that down. But yeah, so it's happened twice. And I mean, we had what you're thinking of
now,
in
when
the
you
1960s.
say it's illegal, are you saying that the government couldn't pass legislation because it wouldn't be constitutional, or just that the
That's
law
right.
as it stands? I mean, the law as it stands does not stop it. But could the government pass the law?
This is the question from I think it was 63. Someone in the chat correct me.
It's already been tested.
Yeah, well, it was tested for the Communist Party of Australia, right? Menzies wanted to ban the Communist Party of Australia. The legal advice was that he couldn't. And so he went to a referendum, and the referendum question was 1951, actually. Thank you for Q, bitch. It was 1951, and he said, should the Australian Communist Party be banned? And an overwhelming majority of Australians said no, it should not be. And that is the core of the precedent around banning Australian political parties on the basis of their ideology, right? So if by some modern globo homo miracle the government is able to find enough tweedy ANU losers to say that they can stop the White Australia Party from registering, well, we can stop the socialists from registering. We can stop the Greens from registering if they advocate violence. I mean, where does it stop at that point? So yeah, I don't think anyone I don't think serious people are worried about this at all. But yeah, I think we're gonna be in for a weird time though.
It'd be a fun referendum.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the thing is so many people would come out to support him, right? You'd have Australia's libertarian movement, you'd have a lot of liberals, you'd even have some people from the ALP. I mean, you'd have some of the right-wing unions, who would come out and support the right to have whatever insane political party you want. So yeah, I don't think there's anything serious could come of that. But look, and this goes back to my point about the NSN all the time when people accuse me of supporting him. Start the goddamn party, right? That's all I want them to do. Let's have the discussion once they've started the party, because it's been going on for months now, like almost a year. I think we're coming up to a year that they've been talking about this.
Well, it still isn't really politics yet, right? Because they don't actually have a policy, platform. It's
well, neither does One Nation, and One Nation are doing 16% now, right? So I don't know if it would be fun to imagine what does the NSN policy unit look like, and what are they putting out? Do they necessarily need to do it? No, but what they need to do is go out and get 1,500 signatures and put them on a page.
The one thing we can be confident of is that the NSN's policy unit is a unit. The guy's an absolute unit.
Yeah. It's just some giant dude called Greg. Although, this is the thing. It was interesting with the leftists who kind of get into these. Yeah, Skull just says NSN staffers. What does an NSN staffer look like? And this is a really interesting question, right? Because we know that from the evolution of the Liberal and Labor parties that it doesn't matter what kind of party you have. It can be a really left-wing party. It can be a really right-wing party. But on a long enough time frame, all your staffers end up being gay. Right. So we finally find out, is that just a reality of politics, or is that just the establishment parties? How long before all the NSN staffers end up being cats?
Hey, look, it happened to the actual Nazis and Strom and all of that. So
yeah.
Oh no, we've lost John. He's just gone. The Tasmanian link has cut out, which is leaving me pure vamping. I apologize to the viewers for this technical problem. He's coming back though. Look at that. He's back.
I was switching windows and forgot that I'm on a different computer and the buttons are all in different places. Chat just pointed
Cut
out
your own feed. We don't even need the Rothschilds.
I cut my own feed. Yeah. Yeah. Look, this is a good this is a good number of guys, right? We are on. This is our unadulterated viewership figures. So tonight is who really cares about watching sock. Plus,
Right.
minus the people who are only tuning in for Brian. Yeah. So it's interesting to see who everyone says got me when I drop out.
Yeah,
Start got him. AFP got me. Scott Howard's on the money. The bloody Rothschilds. We're going to get onto that tonight too. I'm going to talk about the Epsteins later.
Oh, cool.
That interests me this week. So yeah, the deportation thing is a watching brief, right? Like, and look, I feel for the guy. Like, I do kind of feel for the guy, really. Like, in all the kind of malarkey, we've forgotten this is an actual guy with a 1-month-old baby who, you know, sure, like, I accept that maybe he should have thought long and hard about doing this, you know, given his visa situation, but it's still a guy, right? And
yeah, and look,
that sucks.
Just advice to people out there as well is that, like, yeah, if you're not a citizen, then be very careful about your political participation, especially on the radical right. Especially if you go to a protest that goes violent. Not an example of what happened here, but just in general, like, you've got to think about that stuff.
Well, and just your posts as well.
If
like
you're
when
going to
you
be radical, and
Mm.
I would say that even for the kind of positions that me and John hold, not the bloody NSN, which are much further.
Yeah.
But if you're going to be radical, you got to sit down and think about, well, how could the
Yeah.
system get me? What are my risks? You know, you know. So,
I mean, even I thought about it a few years ago. Like when and guys have done this, I know, because I've been on Twitter like a really long time. Like if you go back through all my old posts, like you can tell the exact year I start posting what I really think, and it's 2019. And it's like late 2019 when I realized, okay, I can make a career without needing some dickhead in Parliament to actually pay me, you know. And that was the point at which I started saying that stuff. But I mean, look, I don't begrudge guys who are anons online because they know, and I guess like you are one of them, who know that they can't say that stuff publicly, right? I mean, it's not, you know, you don't win a prize because you got lucky and you can put your own name in your face to some of these things. I mean, I wonder with, you know, the logic of some of these guys putting their name and their face on the NSN thing. Like, I mean, this is where they have this problem going forwards that I really think the White Australia brand is something that can take off in a way that's the NSN have kind of plateaued on, right? Because for so many people, I'm just never going to support an organization called the National Socialist Network. It's just never going to fucking happen, right? But a lot more people are going to support an organization called White Australia, which has its own controversial connotations, and they have kind of failed to put the demarcation between it, right? I mean, had they have put the demarcation in there, a spokesperson for White Australia could be coming out today and issuing concerns notices to every single newspaper outlet that called this kid Gunter a Nazi, right? And you could say, no, he's not a Nazi. He's a supporter of the White Australia Party, and stick him in a courtroom and say, prove he's a Nazi, you know? And I mean, you could fund a political party doing that, right? But they kind of want to have their cake and eat it too.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
And this is my cheap.
This comes back to like the kind of paranoid style of running things as well. I think it's probably about them wanting to keep control.
Plus, I have no doubt that inside that organization, like it's a tip of the iceberg thing, and the tip of the iceberg of the kind of like philosophical guys like Joel, etc. And below it, you probably got guys whose dads have never had hair over an inch in their life, who've been in these kinds of organizations, you know, dynastically for decades, And, they probably think the white Australia thing is cucked and they want to be Nazis forever and they want to go fight Vietnamese shopkeepers and shit. So, I think there's probably that tension there as well.
The real front line.
Yeah.
Mark Wahlberg knew it.
Yeah. So, yeah, look, and that's always been my chief criticism of them, is that at some point you're going to have to toss in the towel on the Hitlerism, and you were going to have to get serious about running a political party. And, white Australia is meant to be that political party, and I just don't think they're at that tipping point yet. Because if they were, this could be going a lot better for them. Not to say that it's not going well now.
Like 15, 20 years ago, white Australia as a political brand would have been synonymous with Nazism. But there's been so much anti-white ideological content that it leaves, not everyone. Obviously, there's lefties who will say, who their visceral reaction is that is Nazi. But I think there's enough anti-white stuff that it's created daylight between the two.
But this is the thing. I mean, you've got guys out there like the Dr. Stevens, right? Stephen McInerney, Stephen Shavura. They're out there advocating for white Australia every day. They're doing it in a way that no news outlet has been confident in labeling them as National Socialists because they know they get sued, right? So that's kind of you can kind of see the borders emerging of was that a dog? Was that your dog? Yeah.
Yeah, that's my dog.
I was wondering whose dog was it? So yeah, you can kind of see the boundary lines of something emerging at the moment. It'd be interesting to see what happens. But
it chases me around the house every once in a while.
Oh yeah, because you're a capybara. It's probably freaked out by there being a capybara in the house. Look, in mainstream political news, though, we have impending spills. And I was hoping to find someone, a Liberal, to come on, but I'm pretty sure they're still pissed about that Dean Shakar thing from a couple of weeks ago. So I don't know if they're gonna get over that anytime soon. But it's really distracting. Could we get the dog turned off? Is that?
She only barks when someone's directly outside of the house. So,
right. Is it the Rothschilds? Have the Rothschilds arrived?
Yeah. The Dean Shakar thing did any media actually pick that up, or did they kind of stick to the journalist's code?
The source. So the source ran a piece. The source, which is the funny pages of the Daily Telegraph. They ran a little piece saying that there was a story, but no one actually touched it. Look, apparently he denied it. So the journalists all called him, and then he just said, "No, it's not true." And well, that's what we get to do. I
thought this was serious, Dean.
Yeah. Yeah. So he anyway.
I didn't want it out there, but I don't want you to deny it like that.
Yeah. I mean, he doesn't want people to think he's an incel either. So that'd be a hard one. If you don't have a girlfriend and the media call you and say, apparently I didn't realize this because when someone told me about it, who had been witness to some of these public displays of affection, I didn't realize that the girl was married. So that was why everyone took it seriously. Yeah, because it got spicy. So I think that's so. The irony is soccer's not only a couple of weeks in a row broken, heavy news, but we've also now broken up a burgeoning relationship as well.
Jesus, maybe that's why they were staying away from it, John.
Maybe out
of decorum.
I don't care. I mean, it's the old political maxim, right? I think it was Lyndon Johnson, or might have been Nixon, where he says about his political enemy, he calls his press secretary in and says, "I want you to call every journalist and say that he fucked a pig." And the staffer says, "But he didn't fuck a pig." And Nixon says, "Yeah, I know. I just want to see him deny it." That's in politics, right? Just come up with something, put it out there, see what happens. But yeah, I mean, that is the least of the Liberals' worries right now. The Liberals' big worry is that their largest state division, New South Wales, the jewel in the crown of Australian liberalism, arguably the birthplace of Australian liberalism, is facing another spill. Mark Speakman, Australia's most boring politician, is probably going to be rolled by who we can only assume will be another of Australia's most boring politicians. The names I'm hearing are Kelly Sloan, who famously quit Twitter because Ozpill ratioed her. And
her name is so boring that you fall asleep saying it.
I know, Kelly Sloan. It sounds like a made-up name of a journalist in a cartoon, right? Like it sounds, it's that's what it sounds like. Yeah, I mean, she's one potential contender. Moderates are saying it's not a time. She doesn't want it yet. The other candidate is Alistair Henskins, who I like. He's a good guy. He was actually helped represent me at ICAC many years ago. So I've hung out with him a fair bit over the years. And yeah, they could be going as soon as the end of the week. Thursday is probably the deadline. If Mark survives until 9 a.m. Thursday morning, he'll survive a couple of weeks, but we'll see.
Interesting.
So, but with Brad Batten gone, it seems like there's a bit of a killing season, right? Like,
so let's talk about that, because that seems to be a resurgence of the pseudo faction, right?
Is it? Because I don't understand Victorian liberal politics. Like, I don't understand which faction's which.
I'm not an expert on it either, but she's very moderate.
Yeah,
she supported The Voice and she supported everything wrong.
And
someone posted a video of with her with Buddy Pseudo saying he's always supported me or something, like an old video. But it seems like there's a connection there, and yeah, I mean,
I liked the photo of her doing Russian style caviar. I thought that was pretty funny. That was good. Did you see that one?
I didn't see that one, no.
Yes, I'll see if I can find it. It should still be on Twitter, but it's her on a luxury yacht in Sydney Harbour. Doing caviar, like licking caviar off the back of her hand. It was on her Twitter account from years ago, from before she was an MP. So that came out, and then she went off the handle about the Nazis, and she was saying like it should be banned and whatever. And yeah, she copped an Ozpill ratio, and then she's gotten rid of her Twitter account. So, I mean, how can you be a liberal leader if you don't have a Twitter account run by some boring McKinsey's drone that just posts the most turgid content imaginable every single day? Like, you need that. It's part of the patina of Australian politics, right? So, yeah, I don't know if she could be leader just because of that. So if you are, and I know many of you are watching, if you are a liberal politician watching the stream, ask yourself, can you support someone who does not follow me on Twitter? Like, can you? Yeah, Al Henskins does.
Also,
he won't by tomorrow, though.
She's got like a little baby, we can guarantee she's not one of ours, because, I mean, I don't think women shouldn't be in politics, but when you've got a 1.5-year-old, is that the time to roll your leader? Is that your moment to get one of the busiest jobs around?
Skull is in the chat. Skull has just said he thinks it's the Wilson faction, the Felicity Wilson faction is what I think he means. Now, this squares with what I've been hearing, because I keep getting...
There's Wilsons everywhere.
When Skull says the Wilson faction, it's crazy to think that, I mean, when I was last in New South Wales Parliament, Felicity Wilson was just the butt of all these jokes because she got busted lying about having an MBA. Duplicity Wilson, right? And from there to now being some kind of factional warlord in her own right is a crazy character arc. But yeah, everyone keeps, like, I just keep getting phone calls from young Liberal guys in New South Wales who are just screaming Felicity Wilson at me down the phone. And I didn't know if they were saying she wanted the spill or if they were like screaming Felicity Wilson because they were trapped in her crawl space, like half buried, and they were trying to get me to call the police. But apparently it's her. She's the one who's pushing this. Yeah.
And who's going to back?
Well, she's going back. I guess Kelly Sloan, but supposedly Kelly Sloan doesn't want it. So we could have one of these like we've had them a few times before in New South Wales. These like abortive spills where they go in and then no one, like it's an empty chair basically, and no one will do it. So
Skull meant Jess Wilson, John, which is pretty funny. You're
I thought he was talking about the Felicity Wilson in New South Wales.
No, he just meant Jess Wilson down in Victoria.
Oh well, then that's just something I've heard, that it was Felicity Wilson. Like,
that's interesting, fresh information.
Yeah. I was just using that as an excuse. I thought he was the second source that I could use, but yeah. Wait, Skull says he has no idea about New South Wales politics. I thought we were talking about getting Skull on to talk about New South Wales politics because we don't have any idea about New South Wales politics.
idea what's going on either.
Yeah. I mean, no one cares, right? I tweeted today when like the Sydney Morning Herald were calling like Gurmesh Singh as leader of the Nationals. It's like it's a historic win for Indian Australians. I'm like, really? Because last time I checked, there's been a lot of micro parties with 0% chance of forming government with under 6% of the vote who had non-white leaders. Like, then it's not special because it's the National Party. It would have been special if it was the National Party in 1955. But today's National Party is like the rump of a rump. It's not even the rump of a rump. It's a crumb. It's like it's a rounding error of electoral politics. It's meaningless. And the only reason anyone cares or covers the National Party is because they have, and certainly for as long as I worked in politics, they have this uncanny ability to hire press secretaries who are sleeping with journalists. And that's it. That's the only reason they get this cachet with whether it's state or federal press galleries, is because it's the Wombat Trail. That's what they call the National Party. It eats roots and leaves. So if not for that fact, the kind of internal machinations of the National Party will be treated with the same level of attention as like name a party under 6%. I mean, Jim Salim's Australia First. Like, it's what, like 25% of the size of the Nationals' primary vote. And the other thing is it's even smaller now, even smaller than it used to be, because I think in the last state election, the Nationals got, I think I had it up in another tab. I'm a boomer. I have heaps of tabs open. Yeah. Last state election, the Liberals got 8.94%, right? There's no way they're getting that now. Not with Barnaby walking out of New England. I mean, I said this to someone in our group chat today, that I thought, when you look at like one of the more recent spikes in One Nation votes, I think is purely New England, because Barnaby's primary is like 90,000 punters, right? That's 1/3 of a percent. So that alone, if Barnaby says I'm not running for the Nationals in 20X, if he potentially endorses a One Nation candidate, which is a gossip that's going around, is that he never intended to run for the One Nation Party. He intends to endorse a One Nation candidate to replace him. Like, that alone can account for, across multiple Nat seats, where you've got in like Canavans up in Queensland, where they're talking about James Ashby running, right? This alone accounts for the flight to... Yeah. Now, I've promised I'm not going to say that thing.
Yeah, but
I always say.
I'm not going to say what I'm not going to say. Yeah,
I'm going to say it.
Just,
Does you guys remember, right? Now that we've shaved down our audience.
Everyone. Just
you remember.
You
guys remember. But yeah, supposedly going to run against Canavan. So, it's chaos. Look, no one should really care about the Nats that much. Look, you should kind of care about the New South Wales Liberals just because things are getting bad there. I mean, I was a big Chris Minns fan early on, not so much now. Minns has really like shown his true colors recently. Like, I'm glad I left. I mean, he'd probably put me in prison if I was still there.
I was going to say, with the Nats leader, it may be the first case where a politician quits to spend less time with his family.
Yeah. Wentworth says, and Wentworth knows these things, he says The move against Mark Speakman, he calls him Spearman. I mean, there's no spear throwing from Mark. Isn't from Felicity Wilson. It's the pro building mods like Wrath who realized Mark is a complete non-entity. Yeah, I mean, maybe you're right. Maybe Wilson's pro Henskins. I don't know. Who knows with those guys, right? Like, I mean, the only guy I even like who's still in there is Anthony Roberts. And whenever I call Robbo nowadays, he just says, I don't know. I have no idea what's going on. Like, good for him. So who fucking knows, man? But it's going to get messy. And the really interesting thing about One Nation in New South Wales, of course, is they're cannibalizing these libs, but they've got no party. So Latham left. Latham's an independent. So who is like New South Wales One Nation? Who is the beneficiary of the collapse in the Liberal Party vote, in the collapse of the National Party vote? Like, no one knows, right? I mean, I just saw someone responded to me in a tweet earlier. It was the Central Coast One Nation branch. And I should ask them and say, who's the candidate? Who's going to come and save everyone from these people? Yeah. So we shall see.
On that Min's thing, by the way, this is hard information to find online, but Min's married someone who I believe is Irish Catholic. He is a Catholic. His dad was a Catholic. There's no Jewish connection there. I did see someone post some bullshit with Min's in a yarmulke, but politicians put on yarmulkes because they have to go into synagogues to do stupid community event crap. So that means nothing.
Every drawer in Parliament House has one in it. It's like next to the Daffodil Day badges and your Remembrance Day poppy. Like, everyone's got one. They're like Gideon's Bibles in hotels. I think Mark Liebler comes around and puts them in the drawer of every staffer. Like, when you get elected, Liebler comes in with a bunch of yarmulkes and puts them in your desk. Yeah. So I don't think he doesn't have those connections. I mean, some of his background's interesting. I probably know more about Minz's background than most. And I mean, they had me going through him with a fine-tooth comb for like a year, like a fucking year, man. And like, classic Liberal story. Like, I probably could have found something if there had been more money involved. But at that point, like, they didn't even like me very much. I was just showing up to get my redundancy. So I didn't put that, like, the amount of work into it I'd put into like a job with a monthly retainer. But the biggest thing about Minz, there's two things about Minz that have never been fully ventilated. One is, you can look this up. It's from November 2017, Sydney Morning Herald story by Sean Nichols. It's about his wife and his staffer running a Chinese import-export business out of his electorate office, which was a thing that happened that no one ever got to the bottom of. That it was right in the middle of all the malarkey with the United Workfront Chinese spooks who are crawling like ticks over the Labor Party. This is right before, like, Jamie Clements, who's a really good friend of Min's back in the day, I think, before he got done for taking the Audi bag full of cash off the China spooks. Like, this stuff was all going on at the time. And this story came out about this shady business that was being operated out of his electorate office by a staffer who's since moved on, Chinese guy, right? Never got to the bottom of that one. The other interesting thing about Minz are the inconsistencies around his Princeton degree, right? So he went to Princeton
many times.
He's a Princeton man.
The Aussie who goes overseas and gets like an MBA or whatever.
Yeah. Well, this wasn't an MBA, right? I mean, MBAs are bad enough. Been back in terms of like meaningless degrees. This is like a special Princeton program. It's like I can't remember what the call. It's not a bachelor. It's like an associate of public policy or something. It's a 1.5 year program on campus, though. And you get this certificate to say that you're a foreigner who was allowed to go to Princeton, basically. So he went and did that, and it was all paid for by Sussex Street. supposedly.
Oh, okay.
But no one ever got to the bottom of it. His wife went with him, which I always thought was interesting because I can't let your man out of your sight for that long. What's going on? He's a good-looking guy. I don't know. But yeah, so there was some sketchy shit there. And then, of course, one of the third interesting thing about Mins, which isn't like a potential yarn, but still always struck me as odd, was the whole quitting drinking thing. Right. No one on the level ever just quits drinking. Right. He in 2022, I think it was early 2022, maybe it was before then. Actually, might have been out of the back of COVID. He made this big public pronouncement when he took over the leadership that he was giving up drinking.
Was that to preempt some DUI or something coming out of the,
Well, I don't know about DUIs. I mean, most politicians are smart enough.
Someone,
It's Sydney, right? And he lives in Maroubra. I mean, what kind of a moron would get in their car? I don't think it's probably going to be that. Yeah, it could be something though. Could have had a little bit of a.
Isn't he down in the Shire? He's down in the Shire, isn't he?
I think he's. Yeah, you're right. No, he's. Yeah, no, he is. I'm just trying to think what the suburb's called. Sans Souci, I think he's like around there somewhere. That's where his electorate is. I was in his electorate for a bit a few years ago. But yeah, so look, there's a lot of question marks over Mins that we'll never have answered because the Liberals can't even sort out who their leader is, let alone who the head of their dirt unit is. If the Liberals want to find someone, there's some little McGowan heads out there who are looking for their leg up. I'm sure I'll find them someone to look into this stuff, but I don't know. And things have changed so much in politics. The days of rat fucking guys like that, they're long over. People don't do that stuff anymore. No one cares. You wouldn't even be able to get the Sydney Morning Herald to run it now. Like Alex Smith would like clutch her pearls and cry if you put a story like that to him. So sad.
Well, I don't know. It depends. Like you could get some meat on the China thing if it was.
There was heaps of meat on the China thing back then. The China stuff back then was wild. I mean, everyone was talking about it. I mean, everyone knew about the bags of cash well before they happened. You had guys in the upper house who were just open Chinese assets for a really long time. So, look, I personally, I like Speakman. I mean, not Speakman, Mins. I really like him. But, question marks that were never properly ventilated, But we'll see what happens. He's unassailable, though. Like, what are you going to do? Like, Kelly Sloan's going to beat him somehow. Like, she's going to like girl boss her way into being the New South Wales Premier, just on vibes alone. It's not going to happen. Mins is going to be Premier for 1,000 years if he wants it.
I think he's, and I have met him personally. I think he's smart enough and canny enough that the only way that he'll be out is if circumstances overtake him. And even though he's a smart premier, that doesn't mean that the state won't suddenly have like really big deficits and end up in a Labor style black hole. Like that happens even to smart premiers. Like it does, like in Labor, they can't stop spending.
This is kind of the problem. I mean, it's funny because I remember O'Farrell not arguing, but like kind of like jokingly pointing this out to Mike Baird back at the time. Was like back in like 2011, 2012, the running joke inside the New South Wales government was that if we ever got kicked out, we were going to hand Labor a government that they couldn't fuck up again. And I remember a lot of guys saying, like, during those two budgets, going, man, maybe we should put something in there that they can fuck up because the way we've designed it, we've got to create this, like, perpetual economic motion machine.
Yeah, I mean, look,
the problem, like, the only problem, like, if you're an economist, and as someone just pointed out, like, Speakman doesn't have a dirt unit. He does have an economist, though. I'm sure what they're saying is, it's stamp duty receipts in New South Wales. So as long as stamp duty receipts stay high, you're gravy. Like the only existential threat to the New South Wales budget is that people stop buying houses. And so when Albo comes out with his 5% deposit scheme, like the big short meme that writes itself, like if you were, what's the guy who looks like the fucking Hellraiser demon, Mookie, the New South Wales treasurer.
Yes.
Like if you're him, like you're looking at the 5% deposit scheme going, fuck yeah. Like it's free money. Like it's a bigger ceiling for how badly we can fuck up. All the other states have reached and breached their fuck up ceiling, right? Like if you look at Victoria and you think, God, why is that such a basket case? Why are things going so badly? I mean, it's because post-COVID they'd reached and breached their fuck up ceiling. That cliff had been driven over, and now they're still heading towards the bottom. New South Wales, it's decades off. I mean, even if there was some like existential shock to the property market where the quantum value of houses decreased substantially, I don't know what the actual figure would have to be, but let's say that happened. The impact on the New South Wales budget's still not going to be felt for years, right? Because you still got the money in the bank. New South Wales's like their T Corp funds, like their funds under management, I mean, they're just shy of the Future Fund. I mean, like the Future Fund is the largest state-owned fund in the country, and then New South Wales's T Corp is number 2, right? New South Wales has quite a successful bond product in the form of Waratah bonds. Like they've got money, like they've always got money, so that makes it very hard for them to get back into the bind they were in the kind of Yemma, Rees, Keneally, late car fuck-up periods. You're never going to get that state again because they've been handed the keys to a car that's self-driving. So, yeah, that's a real problem for Mark Speakman or whoever ends up running the New South Wales Liberal Party, because what do you criticise these guys on, right? I mean, the streets are safer, and I mean, Victoria is a huge boon to them too, because when people are looking at
comparison,
they look fantastic by comparison. And another boon is that, you know, the establishment media has, like, in terms of audience scale, collapsed since that kind of heyday. So whereas before, like, I have no doubt, just from my reading of, like, you know, police media releases and shit, that like 10 years ago, you could have run the same, you know, anti-crime campaign that was really successful under Barry O'Farrell. Like you could have campaigned on the fact that, oh, there's fire bombings in the streets and there's men of Middle Eastern extraction shooting each other in driveways. You could do that now, but that only works with a compliant newspaper that had a big enough local audience. Whereas today, the New South Wales audience for the Daily Telegraph is minuscule. I mean, that
back in the car days, they used to have to basically supply a story every single day for the radio.
Yep.
Otherwise, the radio would go looking for a negative story.
Yeah,
and like so, it was
feeding the crocodiles.
New South Wales government was constantly in the New South Wales news, and now you just don't hear about it. Like it's night and day. It's a completely different world.
Oh yeah, I mean, and you go down into
remember Bob Carr had a studio in his house. He built a studio. In the granny flat, like, because he would go out there every morning because he had to be on the radio every morning.
And then it just collapsed, right? I mean, like when I first started working in New South Wales Parliament, like you would go down to the press gallery in that building on level 6, and every single nook and cranny of level 6 was occupied by like a household media name, you know, like, I mean, like on the very first like few months I was there, I think the Sunday Telegraph journo was actually Penberthy, who ended up being the editor of the Daily Telegraph and then ended up editing, I think he edits the Advertiser in Adelaide now. Right.
So like, you're saying this is a pipeline from politics to
media. Joel Hildebrand was in that press gallery. Joe Hildebrand, sorry.
Yes.
Clennell worked for Fairfax back then. Like everyone down there was someone, and now you go down there, and I mean, they all look the same. It's either like a 24-year-old guy wearing R.M. Williams trousers with coffee stains. No one quite looks like MJ Bale shirt. Yeah, or it's just some bit of fluff who just came out of UTS and wants to write about trans issues and Nazis. Like there's no serious journalists in New South Wales anymore, right? Hasn't been for a really long time. Whereas before it used to be where all the serious journalists were. And that's kind of affected everything in the state, and it's not just in New South Wales. Like it's the same situation in all the states, right? But yeah, how it's just gonna keep getting worse for them. And you're not seeing any like alternative media cover these guys at all. Like, why would you? We're probably it. And as Pussy Terrorist just said, if I don't pay for the promotion for the episode, we get like 1,000 views. So, actually, can someone check on Avi Yemeni's stream? Like, how are we doing in comparison to that?
I was just remembering today when I first heard about him over a self-defense case of like a guy who would ended up using lethal force to defend his house, and then Avi was like all over it, and that was like his first big thing. And now he's like, I don't know what he is now. I don't know what he represents. The Israeli right.
Israel. Yeah, it's just Israel. Yeah, no one in the chat even wants to go there. It's like the cursed stream. No. Yeah, David Dean says Rukshan. Actually, we should cover that. Rukshan announced he's sick of racism. He's not really going back to Sri Lanka, David, but he is sick of racism. He's been talking about it all week. You know what? Just seeing Skull just posted that Avi and Rook have got like 7,000, so I might just put the promotion on real quick. I know we've still got like an hour to go. No, I'm not going to do it. $40. That's like a really nice bottle of Devil's Corner I can drink later this week. But Rukshan is sick of racism.
Politics of the nation.
Is it though? Is it? I've been saying for a while, like I like the stream being small. I like knowing all the guys that we talk to. Right? I don't want I don't want a too big audience. I mean, I'm even noticing it with the new algorithm. Like that's why I tweeted that thing today about how to get rid of low effort leftoid people in your replies, because I'm sick of it. Like I like the echo chamber. That's why I'm on the website for the echo chamber. Like I want to pick whose views I read. And if I want someone with more leftist views than me, I want them to come from the hot girls at Quillette. I don't want some anonymous, like, unionist turd who is probably trooned out or whatever to be in my mentions calling me a Nazi.
At least when Claire Lehman calls you some kind of, Trump apologist or something, you're being criticized by a real woman.
Exactly. And Claire would just say something like, I'm very disappointed in you. Like something like that. Like she wouldn't use epithets or slurs. Yeah. Green Goblin says getting 1K with that boost is decent. Yeah, it is decent. But
yeah, it's fine. It is fine.
I think last week was a blip because the algorithm changed, and I think with the boost,
I 100% agree. Yeah, I think
with the boost,
the algorithm.
We were getting like 21 to 2,700, and that was fine by me. So I was going to talk about Epstein this week. Is everyone strapped in for that? I don't know. Like, am I the only one? Am I crazy here? Like, it's just been on the fucking news every day. Like,
right.
The leftoid media are obsessed, and maybe it's just because I watch a lot of ABC. That they're obsessed with the resurrection of the Epstein stuff that's been happening in the US over the last couple of weeks, and like as Australians, like you should be interested in it because Virginia Giuffre, who's kind of like the most widely known of Epstein's victims at this point, it's like everyone's forgotten this simple fact. She died, sadly, here in Australia weeks after a car accident, right? And then after she died, the book came out, which kind of precipitated the latest the latest Epstein grief, right? Now, is everyone just really taken the book at face value from the person who, I mean, like, I think we can say mysteriously died. Like, we're thought to believe that she was in a mysterious car accident where no one was charged, and then a few weeks later, just like she dies. Like, no one's talked about why she's dead. Like, it's one of those ones where the media does the thing at the end where they're like, Epstein accuser has died. You should call Beyond Blue if you're feeling sad. Means nothing, right?
Well, the
like,
implication is that it's suicide, obviously.
Yeah, but we're talking about a case about a guy who very clearly did not commit suicide, right? Like, at what point? And at what point? Why should we do it? She had a book coming out, right? And I mean, she was probably very well off. I think people forget, and I want to get into this at some point. Like, I could talk about this stuff for like 5 hours, but I mean, one thing that has been completely memory hold is that the victims sued JP Morgan in 2023, and JP Morgan settled for $75 million US that was divvied up between the victims. Interestingly, the original settlement was $250 million. It was knocked down by the judge to $75 million. The lawsuit was based on the fact that JP Morgan, as Epstein's banker and the one providing the money, was aiding and abetting sex trafficking. That's what their lawsuit was. And yeah, those girls got a bucket load of cash out of it. Virginia Giuffre moves back to Australia. She writes a book. She's probably, I mean, I don't know how many like victims were in the case. I think it was like 30 victims, maybe. Let's assume they only got half because the lawyers would take most of it. But I mean, like around about $1 million. Like, she wasn't going to be short of cash. But she just mysteriously dies, right? No one talks about that at all. Yeah. I mean, on that court case too, everyone forgets that the judge in the JP Morgan case, pull it up. I always keep this around because I've been going on Tinder dates lately, and here's something I've learned about Tinder dates. Girls love it when you just get right into Epstein law, like so much stuff that people don't know, and you can just chew through an entire Tinder date just talking about this stuff. And yeah, so Judge, what's her name? Judge Esther Salas was doing a different court case from victims in the Epstein case, but this time against Deutsche Bank. And right before the case was due to start, her son opens the door to her house and gets shot in the head by a UPS man who to this day has never been found. Right. And then they switch judges to this other guy who then ended up handling both the Deutsche Bank and the JP Morgan lawsuits, where they end up settling out of court for $75 million. I mean,
it sounds like a pretty weak case. Like, how could the bank be responsible?
Well, this is the thing, right?
Right. How?
This is the question. Well, under US law, they were, because these are laws that they set up back in the RICO days for organized crime, right?
Right.
So back
that means
in the
they must
40s,
have had some evidence they knew.
No, they had it. Well, absolutely. Because I mean, Epstein. I mean, in the list of people the girls were having sex with were JP Morgan executives, right? I mean, I'm going to say it, and I know we joke about it, but when I say it this time, it's not a joke. Evelyn de Rothschild was kind of like Epstein's best friend, right? No one, I mean, this is the key thing, right? We are being played so hard by, the media. I mean, the media in particular, who are sitting there saying, "Oh, is it about the Democrats?" If you're watching Sky News, you think this is all about the Democrats. If you're watching the ABC, you think it's all about the Republicans. That's not who it's about. Like, these guys are just in the orbit of it. At the end of the day, it's about finance. It's about financial institutions, and it's about the people who own them. It's about private banking, and particularly it's about private credit. and access to private credit by some of the world's richest people. Epstein only knew Prince Andrew through Evelyn de Rothschild because Prince Andrew put all the royal family's money with their bank, right? This is what the whole thing was always about. If you're dealing with high net worth individuals, how do you collateralize a loan? You know, if you've got someone who's worth $10 billion but has low liquidity and they need cash and they go to a private banking institution for cash, how do you actually collateralize that in a way that means something? Well, if you got video of them getting, you know, relations with an underage girl, that's collateralization on the loan. And I think that's what was happening. I have zero evidence for this, by the way, and everything you're hearing is from my upcoming fan fiction novel. None of it is true. If you would like to join my Jeffrey Epstein role-playing Minecraft server, the link will be in the replies. None of this is real. This is all made up, obviously. But yeah, it's crazy that the story's just gotten away from people so much that we're not even asking the key question anymore, which is not what did Epstein do? It's who did Epstein work for? And yeah. Bully Bullpit says, nice knowing you, John. Yeah, I was thinking just now it would be funny if I like just flipped the lid on my laptop. It just went dark after saying it. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think the dam's breaking in America, though. I think it was Kash Patel who was getting questioned by Congress and coming up short pretty recently.
Well, I just don't think they know. I think this is part of the problem, right? And like, there's a lot of evidence that the case was kind of died in the ass after Epstein died, right? Because like,
and before as well. I mean, it was purposely not investigated.
What's crazy about the bullshit now, like with these new emails, like, I mean, the Michael Wolff emails that have come out recently with like the, you know, did Trump do cocaine? Did Trump give Bill Clinton a blowjob? Like all that stuff. That's new because that's Wolff emailing Epstein in the very late 2020, this post-Trump.
Well, the second one was his brother said that, but it
was the blowjob was his brother.
Yeah. It's in a context where, like, without the context, it's like this could be completely a joke, you know, based on a television.
Yeah, I mean, you just don't know. I mean, how many times do I say shit like that in group chats?
Yeah, exactly. Go through someone's emails and find some weird threads.
But this gets to the next point, right? So these emails are taken from a computer in Epstein's house that was seized in the raids, which are the same raids that got the Little Black Book. Now, the Little Black Book only dates to the early 2000s because who the hell uses a Little Black Book, right? What no one has been able to answer is what happened to Jeffrey Epstein's mobile phone in July 2020. So he gets arrested in July 2020. He's put into that cell where he would never leave. Through multiple hearings, through multiple inquiries, no one knows what happened to his personal effects. Right? Look, you'd think the FBI would have
probably
taken
dumped it all. It's probably all at the bottom of a
Well, he was stung in New York. He was arrested in New York at his office. So he had all this stuff on him, but no one knows where it is. Now, in all the material we've seen, we've never seen WhatsApp group chat. We've never seen. I mean, back in 2020, what would he have been using? Like Wicker? Like the least secure messaging platform, but we've never seen any of that correspondence. All we see are emails from a desktop computer and literally handwritten notes in a Little Black Book. The swing state just said in the chat, it's all about Mossad. See, I don't believe that at all, right? I don't think it is Mossad for the simple reason that, like, there's no reason for them to do it. Like, why would Mossad need Jeffrey Epstein to collect compromat on guys at his mansion with underage girls? Let's assume that these guys are all banging underage girls. If you're Mossad, you can just sneak cameras in. You can just get the compromat. Why do you need to go to those lengths to set it up?
Well, but Epstein kind of makes it happen, right? He brings the people and the girls together,
But no, these guys are sex pests, right? Like if Epstein didn't exist, do you think Bill Clinton wasn't still going to be like a horn dog, like going around with underage girls? Like it's no.
Well,
So with Prince Andrew, right?
Isn't the point to kind of dangle people in front of people and see what happens? Like Prince Andrew may well spend the rest of his life sleeping with 20-year-olds. You know, you got to
but then
put a 17-year-old in front of him so that he commits a crime.
But then the problem is, how do you explain the Ehud Barak stuff, right? Like, so Ehud Barak, and like, so I finished it last week. I finished Virginia Giuffre's book. So she like heavily intimates in that book that Barak was some of the most egregious abuse that she suffered. So why does Mossad want compromat on their own prime minister? That doesn't make any sense, right? But the Rothschild scenario does make sense because where did Barack put all his money when he left Parliament? The Rothschilds. Where did Prince Andrew move all his money when he left Parliament, when he was still in the good graces of the Queen? The Rothschilds. Who, I don't know if you've seen the movie, that movie they did recently about Trump, with that fucking Succession guy playing Cohen, which is about his financial troubles in the early 1990s, right? When Trump runs into
right?
Yeah. When
he always plays
Trump
a weak character.
Yeah, when Trump is nearly bankrupt in the early 1990s, who gives him the loan that helps him rebuild the Trump empire? The Rothschilds, right? There's no evidence of Mossad being involved, but there's all this evidence that it was some kind of, op by these dynastic financial institutions, effectively to collateralize the debts that these people were taking on. And some of the tentacles go insanely deep when you read into it. If you guys like the kind of crazy shit I write, I really encourage you to follow this guy on, I think he's on Twitter as well. Actually, yeah, he is. It's called The Hot Star. He's got a blog called thehotstar.net. And he wrote, his real name is Simon Dovey. He wrote like one of my favorite books of the last couple of years called I, the Chicken Hawk, which is about, the various connections between US intelligence services and sex trafficking throughout time. He gets into it with Epstein and turns up stuff like Evelyn de Rothschild's brother actually owned the private runway and the airline that the Lolita Express was on. Right, like that's who introduced. Like that's where Epstein got his plane. Like she sold him his apartment in New York. Like there's like 2 decades.
That was Wexner. Wexner gave him the apartment.
No, that's a different one. That's a totally different one. Yeah, okay. Like, and this is part of the thing with Epstein, right? So he's like constantly getting free shit from people. Right. Yeah. No, the one I'm talking about is, sold a Manhattan townhouse to Jeffrey Epstein for $8.5 million below its market value in the year 2000. Ghislaine Maxwell moved into this townhouse shortly after and lived there until 2015. Like she worked at the same firms that he did. Like they'd at least known each other since like the early 1990s. Like everything points towards the Rothschilds, which is the complication for Trump, right? Because I reckon Trump got into this thing in good faith, and he thought, yeah, fuck the Democrats. It's like some big QAnon sex thing with the Dems, whatever. I'm not like that. I'm a cool guy. Like that's probably what Trump thought. And he hasn't realized until much later, and he's gone, oh shit, the people who owned Jeffrey Epstein, they own me too. And that's why when he finally gets back in, he's had to take the pedal off the metal on it. David Dean says Victor Rothschild, probably the 5th man of the Cambridge 5 spy ring. Yes, he very likely was. These things absolutely.
It could be multiple things as well. Like Epstein could just be like a mercenary. Like he did a bit of this, he did a bit of that. He was interested in making money. He was interested in making connections.
The interesting thing is about Epstein, right?
So he could work for Mossad and the Rothschilds,
A wise man said this to me once. He said, when you look at these people, it's never look at what people did, always look at what they do, right? The mistake you make, and we make this all the time with it's not a mistake when you do it with politicians, because politicians, it's their day job, right? So you do get a lot of, if you're digging dirt on a politician, go back in time, look at what they used to do, right? You don't do that with billionaires, because when you're at that level, you don't have a day job and a private life. It's all connected, right? It's all the same thing. So to understand what was going on, instead of going back in time and saying, why did Epstein do all these things? What you really need to be asking is, what was Epstein doing? Like, where did he make his money? And when you peel it back, you realize he was an interlocutor for private credit. That's what he was doing. He had these ultra wealthy clients who are billionaires in their own right, much more liquid than he was. And they were trying to unlock liquidity through loans, and he was introducing them to people so they could get it, right? I mean, we've got one of those stories in the Australian media at the moment. Like when you look at the John Adjamus stuff, people are scratching their head going, how did Adjamus rack up like 2 billion, I think it's 2 billion in debts through private banks, right? This is how rich guys borrow money. I mean, when you're that rich, you can't just go to a bank and take out a loan to access liquidity, because the banks actually won't loan it to you, right? If you have enough money, if you've got that, like we think about like how much you've got to put up for security to get a loan. If you're like an ordinary peasant, right? You want to buy a $2 million house and you think, well, I've got a deposit. What have I got for security? Now imagine you're trying to get a $20 million loan when you're worth $20 billion, but you don't have cash. And you go to a bank, you got $20 billion in shares, in property, and assets, and you just want $20 million in cash. The bank's not going to loan that to you, because the bank's going to sit there and say, well, you might not pay it back. You don't have to pay it back. We don't have any leverage over you, right? And that's where private banking comes in, because private banking, the leverage is personal, the leverage is relationships. And this is what Epstein offered the Rothschilds, right? I mean, look at what was going on with Prince Andrew around that time. He's renovating that fucking stupid palace that he lived in, like the Timu Palace out in Scotland, right? Which he paid for. Have you seen this? He paid for it out of his own pocket. Did he, though? Or did he take out a loan? And was it a cash loan that he was eventually going to repay to one of these private banking institutions? This is the stuff that really matters with Epstein, but of course, all the media wants to talk about is the connection to frankly irrelevant political actors. That Donald Trump borrowed money from the Rothschilds, contemporaneous with him hanging out with Jeffrey Epstein, is a matter of fact. Like, that absolutely happened. And then when you go down the list, you see that all these people connected with Epstein did the same thing. This was the pipeline.
I think it's one of those things that's like the media doesn't talk about. I mean, it talks about factions and spills, but it doesn't talk about how politics really works. And there's absolutely no discussion of the money power. Like, that's just off limits. Like, it's too complicated, too abstract, too big of a problem.
Well, I think that's because it's because journalists just don't understand how money works, right? It's staggering how often you catch them just not. I mean, like, the only newspaper I actually pay for is the Financial Review, but even there, like, how often you'll read something and go, that's not how money works. Like, that's fucking insane. Like, they will, it's like they're like kind of willfully ignorant of it. It's like the coverage of someone like Gina Reinhart, right? Like, Reinhart is one of the world's poorest billionaires, right? Like, in terms of like liquidity, that's what matters. Like, how much cash do you have? Her money is tied up in mining projects. It's tied up in, I mean, these are all private companies as well. It's like with the Waltons, the Walmart guys. How when they started, when they started dying out and they realized, well, because they didn't have to be filing anything publicly, the truth was, they were asset rich, but they're living in dilapidated mansions because they just don't have a lot of cash, right? Cash is king. And this was the problem that the Rothschilds were exploiting, in particularly on the east coast of the United States in the late 1990s, early 2000s. Now, the cheap credit that becomes available in post the GFC kind of addresses that a little bit. And you can kind of see it in the tempo of Epstein's client book, right? Because it's around 2008, 2009 that Evelyn de Rothschild suddenly loses interest in swanning around these parties and meeting all the people that Epstein was introducing her to and all the people that she was introducing to Epstein. All kind of stops. And then she goes into like NGOs and she gets into the renewable grift and the World Economic Forum and Davos and whatever. That all happens around 2008, 2009, which of course is contemporaneous with just like rock dirt cheap credit. So all these people that were trying to get liquidity from private banking institutions in the early 2000s suddenly don't need it, which means the Rothschilds don't need Jeffrey Epstein anymore. And what happens 10 years later? He's strangled.
Well, that's the beginning of his fall back then. And
well, that's exactly right. You know, this is when he starts running into problems. This is when no one needs him anymore. Right? So, yeah, I know it's like easy to think, oh, yeah, it's just fucking Mossad. But like, really think about it. What does Mossad have to gain from it? Like, what are you going to do with this information? Because, I mean, look, at the end of the day,
what they would want is leverage over US politicians. But my understanding is, like, okay,
they get that anyway.
There was Clinton.
They got some random South African kid deported from our country this week. Like, they did not need a video of Tony Burke with a 17-year-old girl to make that happen. I'm sure such a video exists, but the Australian Jewish Association did not need it. So at what point does Mossad need it to, you know, leverage Bill Clinton, to leverage Prince Andrew, you know? It had to be about the banking. It had to be about the money. And, you know, you follow the money, you're going to find out what the real stakes were. And look, I think this is why the US is so fucked up about it. This is why Trump is struggling to get the landing that his supporters want. Because he now realizes the extent of it. I mean, you know, one of the most infamous kind of Epstein flights was Mellon. I think it was John Mellon, who was like, for his 90th birthday, got flown on the Lolita Express to the island with like 3 of these girls. His son was Trump's biggest donor, his single biggest donor in the last campaign. It's the Mellons are the guys who are single-handedly funding the US military payroll during the shutdown, right? I mean, of course, there's these connections that Trump doesn't want coming out. But yeah, I really wanted to get some Epstein stuff off my chest tonight because I was just fucking watching it all day. It's just doing my head in. Sick of journalists not asking interesting questions about it.
Yeah, you know, I thought there was something to Pizzagate. Like, I mean, obviously, the media amplified some of the more ridiculous elements of it, but there was some weird connections there. Mm-hmm. Like, at the heart of it, you've got 2 gay guys who are like super political connected in Washington, who decide to start a kid-themed pizza restaurant, and then definitely do make pedo-themed jokes on Instagram. Including one where they say they've got a basement. And then later on, the story they tell the journalists is, well, we don't even have a basement. It's like, well... Which
will turn out to be bullshit. They always have a basement. Like, that was kind of like the key part of the McMartin childcare scandal where, you know, they just kept telling the media, oh, we don't have a basement. And then it turned out years later they did. Pizzagate was definitely something to it. I mean, the best part about Pizzagate, like, just the guy that shows up with the gun to free the kids from the basement and then who fires one shot and it mysteriously goes through a door and lands into the hard drive in the computer in the back office. Like, come on, man. Come on.
I didn't hear that bit.
Oh, didn't you know that part? Yeah. The shooter.
I thought he shot it into the roof or into the ceiling or something.
No. He walked in, he fired one shot, he went through a door and embedded in the hard drive of a computer. Yeah, Tommy Down Under.
What are the chances?
I know. What are the chances of that? Like, oh, it's crazy. How did that happen? Yeah. Pizzagate, there's definitely something to it. Like, And it's interesting how that's
And
the
media.
one.
The media did not touch it. The media.
Oh, the media became
That was completely internet driven, and the media
Yeah.
would like just not interested in it at all.
Yeah, the media just became convinced that it was online conspiracy theorists. I mean, to the extent that which they were compromised, who knows? But yeah, I think for a lot of people, I mean, Pizzagate was like their COVID. You know, I mean, like the way, if we look at our biggest nut jobs in Australian political commentary, right? Like how COVID created Monica Schmidt and Rukshan. Like Pizzagate kind of created so many of the people in America that are now turning on Trump over the Epstein stuff because they want answers to this stuff.
It was disillusioning to me that he got in and never asked any questions about it. Because I thought, if he wins, you know, he'll at least investigate it. And he never talked about it ever again.
Yeah. No, he just, I think what happened was he got in. I just don't think in the first term he ever really was that interested in it. And of course he goes. Like, I mean, Epstein dies in like 2020. So the timeframes don't kind of sync up. And I think Trump's kind of gone.
Oh, I meant Comet Pizza, but
he won't touch. Yeah, they haven't touched that one. And well, the other reason for that is that it sinks so tightly into the U.S. intelligence agencies, and I mean, with Julian Assange, right? I mean, you're disappointed about that. I'm disappointed that Julian's a free man now, and he's never released any of this stuff because he has more. He absolutely has more. I mean, every single word we know about Comet Pizza in the Podesta emails comes from WikiLeaks. Those were the WikiLeaks leaks, right? See, I'm one step ahead of Tommy. We're in the hive mind. He just said the Podesta emails played a part in it. I mean, Podesta was 100% a freak show. Like, I mean, you look at the shit that he's got hanging on the walls in his house, like that stuff was so deeply weird.
There's a weird profile piece once again about basements, right? Where they do this little, walkthrough for, like a news magazine of their new house in Washington, D.C. when they move to Washington. And they specifically say where we have to dig out a basement in order to, create a space for our art that's got just the right, atmosphere and temperature. And so, you're doing custom work with the basement.
Yeah.
And you're placing a story about why you're doing that. And it's just like, this is like the whole thing with John Podesta and his brother, where one of them is the most influential lobbyist in DC and the other one is the most connected Democrat insider.
Yeah.
Like it's so corrupt. I think directionally, the fact that his email got hacked. By the way, it got hacked because he fell for a phishing scam, which is pretty funny.
If you want to really show your power level, and I'm reading the chat right now. It seems like we've really touched a nerve here because a lot of guys are deep on this vibe, right? The Madeleine McCann suspect sketches that kind of look a lot like the Podesta brothers. Have you seen this?
Yeah, but
this is crazy. This is crazy. They look just like him.
The problem with that one, though,
like him.
There's that picture with the two sketches.
Yeah.
But that's the same suspect, and it's like, but it looks like both brothers. It's just a weird.
Yeah, I know, right?
A weird thing.
What's going on there? What? Man, that period was crazy too. Like that was probably, that was probably one of the wildest periods to be on the internet. Like we think now, now you go on X and it's just, it's guys like us just talking shit and our friends and stuff. But like just being online back then, and because this stuff was in forums and shit, you couldn't say this on the surface internet. Like this was on 4chan and on, it wasn't even Telegram. Like, you were on the very bowels of the deep web talking about this stuff.
It was on Reddit,
and we lost all that. Reddit shut all that stuff down. Yeah. I mean, probably it was, as someone pointed out in the chat, like there was probably had something to do with one of Reddit's power users, a certain Ghislaine Maxwell. Those old school poll threads were fantastic, right? I miss that. I do miss that stuff, but I miss a lot of the guys who used to stream back then too, like pre-Fuentes. I miss the Daily Show podcast. I miss the Paranormies before they kind of fell off. There were so many good guys back then. But Rowan says, are they going to release the Epstein files in full, John? I don't know. I hope they do. I mean, I was surprised that they released as much of the JFK files as they did, which, you know, if you've watched some of my deep cuts from other podcasts I've done, I've talked about that at length because I read all 40,000 pages of them. You know, they released a lot of stuff in there that I never thought would see the light of day. So, and then no one really touched it, right? Like, so they released all this stuff and no one covered it at all. Like, they covered the fact that it was released, and then they cherry picked like a couple of things. And no one really, I mean, it was clear that there was not a single journalist in the United States who read the entire thing. And
this is one of those framing things about releasing the files, like, because it's pretty clear now that they don't actually have that much in the files. That whatever they've got left.
I think all they've got is the contents of Epstein's house. I think that's all they've ever had.
And I think there's a really good chance a lot of that was scrubbed, right? Because people had the opportunity to do that. But I mean, the framing of it is like it's framed in this way, like that's the way that you get to the bottom of it. The way you get to the bottom of it is you have like an inquiry. Like you have like, I don't know what the American equivalent is, but you can reopen this and look into it again. There's lots of girls who are still alive. You just start talking to them about who they were there with.
It's like, not called a royal commission, but you just hold another commission, right? It's like the 9/11 commission, like the commission into assassinations, like the Warren commission, right? So they just what Trump needs to do is an Epstein commission, get someone who everyone's going to trust and say, power to call witnesses, sit them down, call them in, quiz them, and get to the bottom of it, right? And the thing about it will be, it'll be guilt by association because people will leave the country to avoid doing it. People won't want to actually go and answer these questions.
We need someone with experience in government. We need someone above reproach, maybe even a potential attorney general candidate. We need Matt Gaetz to run this commission.
We do need Matt Gaetz. Get Matt Gaetz in, to run the Epstein commission. But they need to find someone to do it. I mean, that's the only way out of it at this point, right? And I mean, and they've done them before. I mean, there's the House Committee into Assassinations, which is the other. So there's the Warren Commission into JFK, and then there's the House Committee into Assassinations, which is a few years later. And then there's another one, which I can't remember what it was called, but it was the post-Vietnam one, which also had a lot of stuff in it. So there's like a bunch of options for them to do it. But that's kind of what I think he's going to need to do within the next 12 months to kind of nip this in the bud. And if you're Trump, I mean, like, you don't have to run again. I mean, is he? I mean, who knows? So maybe you just say, fuck it. Like, maybe you just say, I'm just going to roll the dice, see what happens. I don't know. Pussy Terror says they need Jeremy Buckingham on it. Maybe they should get him. Yeah. Adam says, John, do you believe any of the Port Arthur conspiracy theories? No, I do not. I do not believe them all. And again, I point this out every time August comes around and we have the resurgence of interest in Port Arthur conspiracy theories online. I blow people's minds with this fact. Open up your browser, type in Port Arthur documents, WikiLeaks, and they are all still there. It is one of the earliest tranches of files that WikiLeaks ever received. And you can read the record of interview. You can read all the evidence that was taken from Bryant's house. You can read the whole thing. He absolutely did it. Look, that's not to say that there's not questions around it, but none of them are about him doing it. They're about what happened afterwards and why he was effectively convicted without trial, why they never kind of articulated the motive in any real way, which I think is because he was a lot better connected in Hobart high society than anyone wanted to believe. And again, it goes back to that point I made about Epstein, right? Why do people get involved in this stuff? Liquidity is king. For rich guys, you can be worth millions and tens of millions and hundreds of millions and billions of dollars. But what matters at the end of the day is how much money is in your wallet when you need it. And Tasmania is one of those places where, yeah, we got a lot of rich guys, but how many guys do we have with fat wallets? Not that many. And so when Martin Bryant, who was by all accounts, and I don't say this as a slur, retarded, when he becomes the beneficiary of a very wealthy Tasmanian socialite who he had befriended, who mysteriously died in a car accident while Bryant was in the car, he gets all this money. Where did all that money go? And who was talking to him about what to do with the money? Where did he invest it? Because he lived quite well for a really long time. And I think that is the only question that was never answered, is who was Martin Bryant really? Like, this idea that he's just this kind of slow freak who somehow goes and does this. Like, I think that's true to an extent, but I think he knew people. And those people were pretty concerned about, you know, what his connections would have been like in Hobart high society. And that's how you end up with, you know, him basically being assigned a lawyer who tells him to effectively waive all his rights and nod and smile and take an unprecedented term of imprisonment rather than a trial, or even just a show and tell of evidence from the prosecution, which might have shed light on why he did it and what was going through his head, which to this day we don't know and the victims don't know. So that's the extent to which I think there are unanswered questions about Port Arthur. But yeah, he absolutely fucking did it. Like, it's so much of the conspiracy stuff around it is just basically untrue, like just fundamentally untrue. Like, you know, the whole like, oh no man could ever make those shots. He didn't shoot anyone outside the cafe. He went in. He was shooting guys at point blank range. Yeah. So yeah, I don't believe in the Port Arthur stuff. I believe in a lot of conspiracy theories, but that's not one of them. Like we said, Pizzagate's definitely one of them I do believe in.
Even with that, there's some really low IQ takes and some really silly fake evidence. Like,
oh yeah, like the video of Hillary, like the Hillary wearing the girl's face as a mask. You seen that one?
No,
that was a good one. That was a good day on 4chan when that dropped. But then, like, there's other stuff that came out after that too that I absolutely believe. Like, remember the cabinets? Remember the website that was selling the cabinets that they thought was sex trafficking? Did you see that?
Yes. Yep.
That was crazy. I'm just trying to remember what that was called.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's called, like,
yeah.
Easy Way or Safe Way.
Yeah. I 100% believe that one. That one's 100% true. Like that really happened.
No, I don't. I disagree on that. I think actually that was a weird programmatic, what do you call that? Search engine optimization thing, because they're basically generating. Yeah. Like, because it doesn't make sense, right? Like, how does naming a piece of furniture?
They synced up so well. That was the creepy thing. I don't know. There was something weird going on.
It was something weird. It was weird, but I think it was just like an SEO thing where they grab any name that was in the news and then generate a fake piece of furniture for it as a way of trying to hijack SEO, like search engines. But like, there's no. If you think it through, there's no angle with what you.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, like, why would you just sell them online? I know.
Why would you put it online?
It was one of those like confirmation bias things though, where it just like all made so much sense.
There's one that goes around certain kind of outlying areas where there's a rumor that there's like a dog fighting ring, right?
Yeah.
And dogs go missing. Right? That's the nature of, and dogs get stolen sometimes.
Yeah.
And then they go, oh yeah, but they put a cross or they put a symbol in chalk outside your house if they're going to steal your dog, right? It's like, well, why would it's like this kind of scary thing, and people have photos of it. You start thinking through it, it's like there's no reason that you would ever mark a target that way. It's like if I've identified that there's a dog I want to steal and I need to pass that on to a criminal associate, I'd send them a text message. I don't need to mark the house itself with chalk. That would be insane.
But this gets into some of like just that kind of thought process, like that justifiable thought process of like, well, why would anyone do that? It's insane. That gets into some of the guts of like the kind of like deep parapolitics into sex trafficking in the US in the like late 80s, early 1990s, where you had the satanic panic, right? Which were these accusations.
I wanted
like,
to go more into this with you. Yeah. What do you think about satanic panic?
This is what's really interesting, right? So if you were the kind of like around, I mean, I was like really young, but I do remember it happening because it even happened here in Australia. Well, the reason why it came up in Australia, this is an interesting Australian connection. I can't remember her name. Her surname is McMartin. The most famous case in the satanic panic was the case of McMartin Childcare Centre, which is the one with the tunnels, right? And this was the one where they had, and I shit you not, 460 children who came out and said that they were not just abused, but ritually abused at the McMartin Childcare Centre. They charged the owners, and the case went on for ages. And that was where it came out, the false memory syndrome stuff, the fallibility of the hypnosis that they were putting the kids under and everything. And it became this like, I mean, they did like, fucking telly movies about it. Oh, it's so awful. These people like falsely accused of doing it. And it kind of did seem insane because you've got all these kids coming out and saying, yeah, they took us down into a basement and yeah, Satan was there and there's pentagrams on the walls and everything. But then it like over time, elements of the story start stacking up. Like it turns out there really were tunnels under there, which come out in a totally unrelated case called the Finders case, which was about a weird CIA-related cult that was doing sex trafficking in the early 1990s. And when the FBI got FOI'd on it, inside the FOI were the sketches of the tunnels from the McMartin Childcare Centre. So over the years, more and more came out that suggested maybe it had happened. And what one of the case theories a lot of the people who've written on it have talked about is the idea that these people kind of dress up their crimes with the kind of pantomime of Satanism so that when a kid talks about it, they say, yeah, I went down to a basement and all these people wearing robes and they were chanting and there's blood on the walls and everything. And the police roll their eyes and say, oh, yeah, that definitely didn't happen. But it was actually just a bunch of people doing that specifically to scare the kids.
Make the story far-fetched.
And like with the dogfighting urban legend, right? I mean, you got to wonder the extent. I mean, and this stuff's really common if you go to like Latin America and like in cartel country, right? Like the cartels like dress their crimes up with all this kind of, this pantomime of Satanism. To scare people, but two, to make people question, well, is it true? So when you hear the story, you think, that can't be true. Like, why would they do that? But yeah, I definitely think there's a significant chunk of the stuff that came out of the early 90s satanic panic that was
on the McMartin one, that the group that was formed, there's a group that was formed out of that to combat like kind of childhood memory placement, right? And there was like 3 lawyers involved in it. Yeah. And then they went on to fight a bunch of other cases, and then one of them later turned out to be a pedophile.
Oh yeah, yeah. And then what
makes you think about the whole thing again?
And I plugged it before, but Simon Dovey's book, I, the Chicken Hawk, is just the most fantastic kind of like long form unleashing of this stuff. A lot of it is on his blog. But yeah, once you dive into it, it's a real like kind of eye opener. You're like, oh shit, a lot of this stuff's probably true. Like that probably happened. But of course it's, kind of covered up. Like, I mean, the media doesn't want to talk about it. The mass media doesn't want to talk about it. Like back in the early 90s, so much entertainment was produced directly contradicting it. Like they were making movies about how this stuff didn't happen, right? That's why I think like, and you want like some OC conspiracy theory shit, right? That's why I think season 1 of True Detective is probably one of the most significant pieces of mass media ever made, because like it just echoes back to like real life in the early 1990s in such a profound way. And yet they were never allowed to go any further with it. Like when that series ended, they're like, okay, we're never going back to that ever again. We're just going to pretend like that never happened. Like, and every season since has been terrible. I mean, season 2 was okay in its own way. But yeah, I really think that those guys were kind of like winking and nodding at something with that. And, you know, the initiated amongst us probably got it, but normies might not. But yeah, but if you want to do more reading on this stuff, like this kind of seminal texts on it, I think, Eye the Chicken Hawk by Simon Dovey, Program to Kill by David McGowan, no relation. I mean, there's a couple of Charles Manson books that are interesting. The really good one, and I can't remember her name, I'm just going to Google it real quick. But if you want to get into the kind of guts of parapolitics and the kind of bizarre connections in how these people do business, there's a book called Aberration in the Heartland of the Real, The Secret Lives of Timothy McVeigh by Wendy S. Painting. And it's kind of almost like a prose work exploring the various coincidences and conspiracies surrounding McVeigh, and a really interesting read in the context of what's going on in Australia right now with the kind of demonization of far-right groups.
The militia movement is in a similar position to the NSN is now.
Yeah, and it kind of, there's like real echoes to what's happening here in Australia and what was happening back then. I mean, you know, I'm not a Fed jacketer, but like some of that stuff where, like, you know, Timothy McVeigh is going to meetings where there's more FBI agents in the militia than there are civilians. Like, that is a really interesting read. And if you read those 3 books, kind of like back to back, one of the most fascinating things is
completely mad. Yeah.
Well, yeah, you will go completely mad, but you will also kind of like
and live in the hills.
You'll start to see some of the connections, like, and like there's names that keep showing up. Like Thomas Aquino is a really famous one. He was this like U.S. Air Force guy who was an actual Satanist, like a LaVeyan Satanist, who pops up in Eye the Chicken Hawk as being involved in sex trafficking in the late 1970s, who pops up again in the McMartin preschool thing, and then even has like this distant connection to the Timothy McVeigh thing. And you're like, what the hell was going on in the US in this period? Someone said in the chat earlier we should do like a dedicated conspiracy episode. Yeah,
I think this is it, guys.
We should do like Australian TrueAnon, except we're right wingers.
I'll add a little one to the Comet Ping Pong thing.
Scotty Tompkins just said, do the Aquino eyebrows, John. Yeah, there you go. I do kind of have it. Like, imagine if I was bald. Like, yeah.
In the Comet Ping Pong thing, one of the things that came out was there was an NGO across the street from it. Now, maybe there's no connection, but the story about that NGO was really interesting. They were like an ostensibly Christian NGO that was about saving children. And when there was an earthquake in Haiti, they'd gone over and they collected a whole lot of children, orphans, right? And they'd basically gotten various permissions from the US government to expedite bringing them back to America. The problem was that those children's living parents caught up with them and caught up with them in Port-au-Prince or whatever, because they'd actually just gone out and grabbed these children from the outlying villages. These are areas that were in distress after this earthquake, and they'd actually just stolen like 60 children and put them on buses and tried to get them out of the country. And it's like, this is
I remember that one.
Story.
It's just like this insane.
They tried to steal so many children. Where were they
insane coincidences, right?
And like, why do you do that if you're a Christian charity? like, why do you try to steal 60 children from their parents? Like, that is like an insane thing. Like it's got to be trafficking, right? Like what are you thinking doing that? Like, there's no good explanation for that.
The extent, and look, see, I don't really think like what Epstein was doing is kind of connected to the broader like epidemic of child trafficking in the United States that kind of runs from, and the United States and the UK, that kind of runs from the late 1960s into all the way through Europe into like the mid 1990s, late 1990s. I don't think they're connected. I think this is something that Epstein was doing to gather compromat on people who were part of related to his business. But the actual child trafficking stuff is insane. And do you know what it looks like to me? Like my theory on it all is this was like what we're looking at when we look at that stuff, like the stuff you're talking about in Haiti, like all the weird internet sites, the Pizzagate shit. We're looking at Iran-Contra Part 2, right? Because what people don't understand about the US intelligence community is that there's been 3 US intelligence communities in the 20th century. So you have the US intelligence community that runs from the end of the Office of Strategic Services after World War II until 1977. So this is like the CIA at the height of its institutional power. This is Kennedy. This is Project Phoenix in the Vietnam War. This is like killing Castro. This is coups in Venezuela. This is like the whole shebang, right? But in 1977, Jimmy Carter devolves the CIA, and you see this shift in what we think of as sometimes conspiracies, but more often than not turn out to be true. The worst excesses of the CIA prior to 1977 were fundamentally about protecting Western society. Like, I do not shed a single tear for the Vietnamese communists who had their ears chopped off by Project Phoenix operatives in the 1960s. I just don't. Yeah, it was bad, but they were doing it for a damn good reason. I don't even care about all the MK Ultra stuff. Good. That's the kind of stuff you want the CIA to be doing. But there's a shift after Jimmy Carter comes in and he devolves the CIA, because now they can't just spend public money. They have to kind of catch what they catch and kill their own. And that's where you get the beginning of the crack epidemic in the United States. That's where you get Iran-Contra and selling guns for money to fund operations in Iran. Now, that's, I think, contemporaneously, the reason why we don't see a lot of that stuff happen anymore is because during the war on terror, they didn't need Iran-Contra. They didn't need crack. They had Bitcoin, right? The greatest operation of the US intelligence community. They have an infinite supply of money to fund their operations. But nestled in there, but sometime in the late 1970s, running through to the 90s, I think they were making money by CP, basically. I think there's a lot of evidence that points towards intelligence community involvement in trafficking child abuse material and child abuse. And that's like the big question mark. Like, what's the worst thing these guys ever did?
Are we the baddies?
Yeah, I think that's how they were making money. There's only so much money you can make out of drugs.
We're doing this to win the Cold War. We already won the Cold War, though. Why are we doing this?
You would make a lot of money out of it. Yeah. Wow, we covered some shit tonight, guys.
Yeah.
We really got in there.
I got right across the gamut.
I noticed our audience numbers shot up once we stopped talking about liberals. I think there's a lesson in there for us. Yeah. We might revisit this at some point in the future. We might advertise like a bumper sock episode where we cover off. You know what we might do is the McGowan conspiracy iceberg.
Yeah, if we were going to do it, we could do like a deep dive on one conspiracy at a time. Like,
yeah. Well, I mean, one thing I was going to mention with the Epstein stuff is this is like some more like original McGowan research. I got a lot of stuff on Cardinal Pell I want to get out at some point, right? About how isn't it a bit of a
You're
coincidence?
slipping back into the episode, John. We were getting out. But go on.
Yeah, I know we were getting out, but I'm just a close, right? This is a taster, right? It's a bit too much of a coincidence that right before all the accusations come out, what was Cardinal Pell doing? He ran the Vatican Bank.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think there's probably a good episode in there about,
and he was cleaning it up as well.
He was cleaning it up. He was making some hard decisions, So maybe we might get into that. Yeah, maybe we'll do like a side project, the Enoch and McGowan, side sock, just on where we can. David Dean says he has the info on this. DM me, man. We'll get all the sock puppets involved.
We'll call it assassination coordinates.
Yeah. Well, have you seen this lame assassination podcast that they're doing on ABC right now?
No.
Yeah. Sebastian says, I would like a stream where we detail all the politics we would want as part of our nationalist project. None. There'll be no politics. We're just going to lock in. And anyone who doesn't like it is being deported to South Africa. Oh, Ben just nailed it. Stream of conspiracies.
There you go.
Well done, Ben. Thank you. Stream of conspiracies. Yeah.
All right.
Look at that. Look at us starting a media empire of our 1,500 guys.
And the surest way to get an interesting story is to not have any factual basis to it. Then you can really get like a 12-part, podcast series out of just make it. So we'll work on that.
All right, stay conscious, sock puppets, and we will see you next Tuesday, where hopefully it's quite a week where less stuff happens.
Well, I'll just remind people to like, follow, subscribe.
Yeah, it's better when the capybara does that, not me. It sounds like ash coming out of my mouth when I do it. Yeah. All right. See you guys.
Stay conscious.